Hey guys, welcome back to another Q&A on October 14th, 2020. So, recording this one a little early. I'm not sure when I'll get it out. Hopefully next couple days. Headed out to the PEC seminar to speak in Denver. So if any of you guys are coming that watch these, definitely say hi. Well, I might see you before it's up, but anywho. Let's see. All right, so trying to get in 800 to 1,000 carbs a day, combining raisin toast with honey, applesauce, Rice Krispie treats, gummy bears. Are these okay to get your numbers even when using Lantus? I mean, it's a basal insulin, right? So I mean, I really like the types of carbohydrates that you would use don't really have any bearing necessarily. You don't really need to change anything in terms of the food that you're going to eat. So if you need to eat those things to get your food in anyhow, then you're not really going to change that. So the two like aren't interconnected or don't have any kind of negative interplay with one another. So yeah, at 800 to 1,000 carbs, you're going to have some processed food for most people. Like, it's not realistic really to eat 1,000 grams of carbs from rice, or whatever. So it's kind of comes with the territory. I wouldn't eat pure sugar, but you're going to have some sugars in the diet, of course, and some more processed food. So yeah, I mean, if your digestive tract's doing all right and you're digesting everything okay, then yeah, I don't see why that would be an issue. The Lantus doesn't really have any connection to what type of carbs you're eating necessarily. So, all right, I just noticed too. Looks like there's a nice bald spot on my chin. Must have shaved it. So, you guys can stare at that the whole time. Be paying attention to it the whole time. Oh, all right. Intentional overreach before a tattoo session that will cause me to not be able to use the muscle groups getting tattooed for upwards of 10 days. This person actually heard this on an OPD podcast. I think we had Andrew Barry on there. Coach Andrew Barry, shout out to him. So you could use this type of method on any situation, really, like an intentional overreach where you're going to have time off, whether it's like something like this or a vacation or just like a surgery maybe, or anything. You could you don't have to like completely destroy yourself, but you could intentionally overreach, add volume, add higher intensity, whatever it might be, to, I would say, probably to like a 1 to 2 week period prior, depending on how close to overreaching you already are. In some cases, if you do it for a week and just smash yourself, you're pretty much done. If you're pretty fresh, you might, a couple weeks of maybe like a 10% increase of volume, or I'm just giving you kind of a base number, or more sets taken to failure, which more sets taken to failure is probably going to be more weight or more reps, at least one or the other, right? So yeah, I don't see why that would be an issue. 10 days is a pretty good period. It's long enough to definitely be considered a deload, so you should recover from a short-term overreaching. If you're overreaching, like I said, a couple weeks or something, 10 days should be plenty to recover from that. And you should be ready to rock when you're done. Yeah, I think it's a decent strategy. I don't see anything wrong with it. Kind of gives you like a little extra, it gives you a little extra boost going into there. And it also gives you some peace of mind that you really like utilize the time period well, and that you got the most out of it before your rest. So, any merit to incrementally increasing AAS dosages, even for professional competitors? I'm not sure what they mean by incrementally. Like, like they have like a set strategy where every X amount of, months or years or, per this time frame, we're going to increase whatever total intake. I mean, yeah, I mean, inevitably, there usually becomes a point where you may need more. Now, there's a lot of factors of that. How high did the people start to begin with? Some people start way too high out of the gate. They don't need that much. They cause a lot of systemic stress. They don't have enough androgen receptors to even utilize all that they're taking in. But assuming you're at a amount that was probably appropriate for you at the time, and you needed to increase over time, androgen receptor activity actually will go up as dose goes up. And so, yeah, I mean, I think most people probably would need to at some point. You couldn't just, you certainly, we'll say this, you certainly aren't going to be able to take this teeny tiny amount and expect it to have the same effect the whole way through. Okay. So it might last for a while, but it's probably going to reduce, and your returns are probably going to be reduced, and inevitably dose may need to go up. But again, like I said, it's a whole lot of factors that go into it too. And training and nutrition are huge factors as well. People also learn how to exploit their training and nutrition better over the years, and then they might not really need to go up anymore. They might continue and make progress. So I guess your goals would go into that as well. But you asked also for professional competitors, and that might be a little different simply because you might be taking someone that's already at what you would call pretty much like their ceiling, or as big as they need to be for what they're doing. Some of these guys, yeah, they have weak muscle groups and stuff. They need to improve little things here and there over the years. Not a lot of them just need substantially more muscle. Some of them do need more muscle, but some of like really top guys, they don't really need more muscle. They might need to fine-tune certain areas, maybe improve certain areas a little bit here and there, but really like peaking for shows, competing at the right times, like dialing it in when it matters is really what's going to give them the best bang for their buck. So those individuals might not necessarily fall into this, but a lot of other people may. So hope that helps. All right. All right, so I have one here in the private message, I believe. T3 for cutting. Thoughts. How does it affect normal T3 levels? Dosages, since I heard anything less than 25 micrograms would actually downregulate your thyroid. Well, I mean, for cutting, so the reason that it works is because obviously it increases, thyroid output. Essentially, I won't say thyroid output's not the right word for it. Increases T3 levels. So specifically, what you would be doing here is essentially replacing what might be downregulated in a deficit, right? Because you downregulate in a deficit from different metabolic adaptations, right? And thyroid hormone conversion also will go down. So T4 to T3 conversion may go down due to stress, cortisol. So this idea like 25 would actually downregulate, maybe. So here's the thing. Replacement dose would be the dose that is required to bring you back up to like a, high normal range, I guess, if you want to call it that. Now, if you were to take, let's say your thyroid was bottomed out, really bottomed out, and you took 12.5, you might still come up a little bit higher than what you are. But let's say you're only downregulated maybe 10%, 15%, okay? Which I'd say is probably more common. You take 10 micrograms or 12.5 micrograms, which is a little low. You might, so what you're going to do is effectively shut down your thyroid hormone production, and what you take exogenously is only going to bring you up to probably below what you were endogenously anyhow. So you've shut down your thyroid hormone and actually effectively lowered your thyroid level at the same time. Okay. So yes, how does it affect normal T3 levels? Yeah, I mean, it shuts your thyroid down. Endogenous production is not there. Um, Now, your thyroid does produce a little bit of T3, but it mostly produces T4, which converts to T3. But yeah, overall, thyroid hormones go down when you shut your thyroid hormone or your gland down, right? So, yeah, you wouldn't want to take less than a replacement dose. I mean, replacement dose could be, it's going to vary person to person. I mean, 25 is probably like a pretty good starting point for a lot of people. If we're looking at a lot of the medical literature and stuff too, which some of these people will start lower, and it can work. Because their thyroid is so downregulated that anything basically is a little bit of an increase. But a lot of time, yeah, I mean, it's probably a pretty good starting dose for a lot of people. And it might not need to go up much more than that, if at all. So, yeah, what you're alluding at here is absolutely correct in that if you take too little, then you'll actually make your thyroid slower. So it's not one of those things where you I'll just start at 5 micrograms just so I can boost my thyroid a little bit. That's not how it works. Once you take it, you shut down your thyroid, at least while you're taking it. And so you're only going to have what you take. Okay. So yeah, it can, in most cases, will come back online. Thyroid production is pretty resilient and compared to like your HPTA or, like your endocrine, not your endocrine system, like sex hormone axes. So there's caveats to that because there's a lot of other like lifestyle factors that could cause hypothyroid. But yeah, your idea here is correct. Okay, moving on. Nice. Another metal question. Who is a better guitarist, Kirk Hammett or Marty Friedman? Ooh. Well, I would say Kirk would probably be more widely recognized. I would think more people would know who he was. But personally, I like Marty's guitar work a little bit better. I think a lot less people would know who Marty Friedman is or know the bands, but yeah, I mean, I would probably go with Marty. I like some of the sounds and stuff, some of the music that they do. But both popular bands, though, really, in all reality. Okay. And in off season, how would you gauge acceptable level of body fat gained, or is it purely a matter of continuing to eat and grow as long as your strength grows? Oh, wow. Okay. Well, acceptable. So there's always a few things that we're looking at. Like, sorry, that yawn got me. So what's the, what is this person's typical set point like? What do they, what's their partitioning like? I always say, what is your ratio of fat to muscle gain? So if you're at a point in your off season where your body fat's going up and you're gaining weight, but it looks like it's all fat coming on, and well, that's probably not good. If you're deep in an off season, you gain 3, 4, 5 pounds, it doesn't look like you gained any more body fat visibly. If you have a good eye for it, then well, you're probably still gaining some muscle, right? So I'm always looking at what is that ratio kind of to the best of your ability. It gets harder to see when you're not super lean. Now, partitioning too, body fat can play into insulin resistance somewhat. So, obviously if your partitioning is going down, we do things like check your blood glucose, check your pumps in the gym, just see how you generally look, right? So a couple of those things like that I'm going to look at. And then that's going to be, and then of course, other kind of secondary things, how does the person feel and so on and so forth. But I'm really going to look at those first two more so than anything else. And that's going to just vary based on the individual. Someone that's naturally leaner is probably going to not really gain as much body fat and probably not need to gain as much body fat to gain muscle. But at the same time, someone that gets leaner easier may actually have cushion to gain more body fat, which means I can push them further into an off season, which I had a couple people like that. One guy in particular, kind of a long-term client. I don't know if he watches this or not, but he and he'll probably know who if I'm talking about him. But he, we decided that he was able to lean out relatively easy, not like eat 800 grams of carbs, but we're able to get fat off him pretty well. So we're like, let's push further into this off season and not really worry about if he gains some extra fat. And he gained muscle, so he certainly made progress. So yeah, that individual might be able to go a little better. Someone that is really hard time getting fat off, you got to be careful. You might not want to go as far. So like you got to consider like not only what you're seeing right now, but what are you planning to do later is also going to be kind of an issue with some people. So I hope that helps. And I believe that's it for this week. Good deal. I'll talk to you guys next time.